actually just found out about the results when I'd finished a dance performance, and of course I wasn't expecting it. I was really happy, but more than that, I was happy that I would be able to relate such great news to my friends and my family and my teachers, who would be very happy with this. But I think about all of that, I just couldn't believe that IB was over just like that, something that had been my entire life for 2 years, and suddenly the chapter was closed. It took a really long time for that to sink in. I don't think I still quite believe it. So I spent the first 9 years of my life in Pune, India, and then I moved here to Singapore and studied with GIIS East Coast from grade 5 onwards. And that was with the since scrapped CBSE curriculum, after which I completed my IGCSEs, for which I had narrowed down my focus to the sciences. Following which during which actually we had moved to the Smart Campus, and then I completed my IBDP, where I took all the sciences and math as my HLs. First of all, the IB is a very internationally recognized curriculum, and as I started to do my university research from a young age, I found that all of them listed IB as one of the curriculums on their course requirements pages. So that was definitely one reason. But then the more I researched about IB, the more I found how globally aware it made its students. And I was particularly excited to study literature from various parts of the world, to pick my own research topic for my extended essay, and also to deliberate on more of the gray area topics in TOK. I did in World Studies in Science, Technology and Society. I picked the subjects Biology and Mathematics, and the topic is a little bit of a mouthful, but I'll explain it. So it's the use of mathematical modeling to model bacteriophage dynamics and phage therapy. So basically, phage therapy is a potential treatment procedure for bacterial infections, where you give the patient a dosage of a virus that targets and eliminates that specific bacterial species or strain, such that it doesn't cause any undue side effects to the patient themselves. And in order to do this, I wanted to find a mathematical model that can model the populations of the bacteria and the virus over time, and see if that in any way can accurately predict such population dynamics in real life, in which case that would make it easier for the doctors to predict dosage and how long treatment will take, and so on and so forth. So in order to prepare for all of this, the model I picked was a series of differential equations that work together as a system, and there's no way I can solve that by myself. So I had to learn a little bit of coding and use this platform called MATLAB, on which I created a program to solve the mathematical model, and also read paper after paper on the biological processes of it. So all of this took a really long time, especially like the numerous times my program failed and I had to redo it over and over again. But after all of this was done, it was really exciting to share everything I had learned and all the results MATLAB had given to me. Living in Singapore and studying here at the Smart Campus, I really wasn't encumbered as encumbered as probably a lot of other people in this world, so there's not too much that I can say. But I will admit that online schooling was rather difficult for all of us. Our poor, exhausted teachers were just like desperately trying to gauge whether anyone was paying attention at all, and none of us were willing to unmute ourselves and actually speak. Not to mention, it was very difficult to actually have fulfilling conversations on my IA and all the other coursework that we have in IB. And of course, for the science students, not being able to access your laboratories whenever you want is like truly horrible. Like, you already have limited time as it is. There was a point where I had to grow my algae for my biology internal assessment, but I had to grow them at home for a while, and then my poor parents had to bear the brunt of it because I told them not to breathe too harshly near my algae, and they were like really annoyed by that. But even then, I think we managed to pull through. In the moment, there weren't really challenges such that we put a step-by-step plan into action, but we just tried to make the most of the situation by, say, collaborating on notes and just remembering that even this too will pass. My teachers were simply fantastic. I mean, they would be responding to my doubts, like even the really dumbest, the most inane doubts at like all ungodly hours of the day. Like they really did not have to. I know they have their own lives outside of school, but they still took time out of their lives to answer all of my questions, even while they were like traveling to and from school. Not to mention, they would repeat concepts every time we asked. It was honestly really amazing the way they were so dedicated to their work. I had to remind myself, that even when I was pestering them for feedback, that although I only have to read one bio IA, which is my own bio IA, my poor teachers have to read like 30, 40 bio IAs, and which must be like a really harrowing experience. So the fact that they continue to do this and continue to advise all of us based on all of their IB experiences makes my entire IB journey a lot easier and more smooth sailing. Same goes with all the technology and other resources that the Smart Campus provides. I've had far too many teachers over the year to be able to pick just one, honestly. They've all been really great. There is not one subject that I would say was really terrible for me. They were all really great, and all of my teachers even had really different teaching styles. Some of them would encourage more class participation, some of them would have more homework, some of them would have entirely different methods of teaching. But whichever way it was, I managed to learn something anyway. I started learning Odissi in grade 7 with Shrabonti ma'am, who is the dance teacher at GIIS East Coast, and she also teaches Odissi with the Global Indian Cultural Center. Honestly, all of this is thanks to her. Thanks to her, I've been able to perform in a lot of places here in Singapore, as well as once abroad with her, which is an amazing opportunity. As of last year, I've officially completed the 6 years required of Odissi, but I really don't feel ready to be like a professional dancer yet, so I will remain Shrabonti ma'am's student for a long while to come. I do enjoy writing if I can convince myself to get my nose out of whichever book I'm reading and perhaps to produce works instead of consume them. But when I do get around to it, I usually write short stories or maybe just my thoughts on whatever it is I'm reading. I met Shrabonti ma'am through GIIS. She was my dance teacher, and I managed to learn through her through the Global Indian Cultural Center. As for my writing, I have all my English teachers over the years to thank, who have never stopped encouraging me to write, for whether be it for the school magazine or for short story competitions. So starting this year for my undergrad, I will be reading biochemistry, molecular and cellular at the University of Oxford, and after which I hope to do my PhD and become a full-time researcher. I'm proud of my achievements for sure, but I don't think I've done anything to warrant the phrase "make it big." That aside, I would say the only advice I really have to give is something that's helped me, is noting down every time I have erred in my exams or past papers or in my homework, anytime really, so that even if I make mistakes, at least I'm not repeating the same mistake. And I said this in my post-IGCSE podcast as well, I think, but I'll say it again because it's just been that helpful to me. Most favorite subject, TOK, least favorite subject, too politically charged to answer. Extraordinary. It'd be nice to be paid for reading. Running out of storage space. Meal times with my friends. Getting enough sleep, as shocking as that sounds. For my family back in India. Personality development. The library. Honestly, I think there's lots to learn from everyone.